gather in as close as possible. There are still a few chairs available, and if there are folks who absolutely need to sit, I hope folks who are sitting and could stand would be helpful and accommodating. I was in Chicago visiting a friend when I learned of Dr. Percy Harris's death. It was just after the Muslim ban went into effect, and people from many Middle Eastern countries were no longer allowed entrance into America, the land of the free, by presidential order. My friend had a great aunt who was trying to escape persecution in Iraq, and we were unsure of her fate. They were protesting at O'Hare. Everyone was upset about the blatant discrimination of this policy. We were restricting the movement of free people based on something they could not control. Their country of origin, their ethnicity, their race. It all seemed so old-fashioned to me. When I received the text alerting me that Dr. Harris had passed, I called Supervisor Ben Rogers. Now, there's media in the room, disclaimer. This was when we had 5 supervisors, so it was legal for me and Ben to chat on the phone together. I was unaware of just how deep a relationship Ben had with the Harris family. I told him we had to do something. We had to honor this man and his family, perhaps with a resolution. Or better yet, we could dedicate a room to the family in the new county building. How do we properly honor a royal family when one of them leaves this earthly world? And without missing a beat, Supervisor Rogers said to me, we're going to name the whole damn building after this family. To the elected officials gathered here, community leaders, neighbors, county employees, and engineers, architects, and contract workers, and of course, to the family of Dr. Percy and Lileah Harris, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. It is an honor and a privilege of a lifetime to officially welcome you all to the Dr. Percy and Lileah Harris building. Situated in the heart of the Oak Hill Jackson neighborhood, once one of the few places in this city minorities could live, this state-of-the-art facility will house 2 very important county departments, public health and child and youth development services. This will be a community building. We made sure in the early stages of this project, county staff, architects, and contractors met with residents in the neighborhood and included their feedback in the design and the build-out. And I see a few of the neighbors here. I saw Mike and Lynette Richards coming in today. We will have a world-class accessible playground that would make former Parks and Commissioner Dale Todd proud. We will have outdoor hoops. We will have indoor hoops and meeting spaces that will be available to nonprofits and other community groups. Now, as you can see, we're still putting the finishing touches on this building. And in a few weeks, they tell me, this place will be pristine, fit for the king and queen after which this building was named. Now, this building was completed on time and on budget. And largely, for government work. And largely, this is thanks to the enterprising efforts of Supervisor Brent Olson, who project managed a complex and innovative design-build, lease-purchase financing package. We were able to use skilled local laborers for construction. This board took a lot of heat for that, but in the end, it was the right thing to do. We worked with OPN architects on the design and Renderneck on the build, and it was a near-perfect collaborative effort. So I gather that most of you here know the famous story. The growing family, the vote at the church, the division among the congregation, the very public debate about the worthiness of this family to live alongside their white neighbors. The first African-American physician in this city was good enough to deliver our babies, but cursed with a skin color that might drive down property values in our neighborhood. Now, I imagine when this family, when they were the subject of racial epithets, or when the brick came smashing through the window of the family home, they remembered the words of Maya Angelou. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I'll rise. Now, not many had the courage to say it back then, although some did, and few have the gall to admit it still today, although some of us do. Institutional racism was and remains the culprit. And institutional racism is what the Harris family fought in their own way. It is a fight that is not over and likely cannot be meaningfully addressed until more of our leaders admit these great social ills still exist and find the courage to do something about it. So today, we find ourselves up against implicit biases, wage disparities, systemic poverty, a criminal justice system that treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent. The unemployment rate for African Americans is nearly 3 times as high as it is for whites. And black and brown people are still grossly overrepresented in our jails and prisons. Quite the little fights, to be sure, but it is through toil and snare that we find progress. So here we are in this gymnasium of a new community institution that bears the names of 2 black legends who overcame it all. This building will treat patients of all colors and backgrounds. We will treat immigrants and refugees. We will teach and care for all children. We will show them that a better world is possible. In her masterful analysis of where we are as a country today, a series of essays entitled Call Them by Their True Names, the writer and philosopher Rebecca Solnit says, what we do begins with what we believe we can do. The Harris family believed that a better world was possible. And here we are, black, white, brown, and all the rest, in their new digs. Now, before I bring the next speaker to the stage, I encourage you all here today to learn the story of the Harris family. Reflect on it. And tell your friends and family. Tell your kids. Don't let this remarkable story ever die. Let it be instructive in your own life. Let it light a fire in you to fight the good fights. And with that, I'd like to introduce to you David Sorg, the principal of OPM Architects.
Stacy said, try to follow that. Good afternoon, Supervisor Walker. It's been a lot of fun to hear the comments as people are using your building. Gloria told me a couple days ago, she said, someone up in the Pier area said, this place is dope. Right? And they're hoping to have a sleepover there, which I think is pretty awesome. So this project has been unique in so many ways, but the level of commitment towards the shared vision from all of the key stakeholders, and I mean all of them, has been simply extraordinary. So thank you to Darren and Garth. We met weekly. Supervisor Olson, Supervisor Walker, Supervisor Rogers, Linda Langston, Hauser, and John Harris are here. Thank you as well. Remote and Glory, your teams have been fantastic. Always putting the overall project above the individual needs. So it's been an effort, and that this commitment to that shared vision is why this project has been so successful. So the vision started with, first and foremost, a state-of-the-art facility for Lynn County Public Health and child youth development. and they will talk about that in a few minutes. We also wanted to talk about this building needs to be sustainable, it needs to be healthy. So this project is on track to be LEED Gold. It will operate at 35% better than code base. Some of the sustainable features include permeable pavers, a green roof to reduce stormwater runoff. We're able to divert 92% of the waste to the landfill, local stone, high-performance glass, and high-performance mechanical systems. The last thing, and this is really pretty profound because it started from the very beginning, and how this building not only needed to be a good neighbor, but it needed to take a great neighborhood and make it better. How can this building and its site give back? So first of all, we said, all right, if you have 60,000 square feet, how do you put it on the site? So we took the building and created two different wings. The child youth development needed a secured entrance, and the three-story part for public health and some of the shared facilities. We took this larger mass and placed it on 6th, along with the other three-story buildings that are multifamily. So it hopefully looks and feels right as you drive up and down 6th. And then we took the one-story wing, which you see here, and it's on 11th, and we took the classrooms and actually pulled them apart to further relate to the mass and create more harmony with the single-family homes around. And I think if you go to this corner, you can really feel that. We wanted to do something called Parkify. So what is Parkify? We wanted to reduce the impact of traditional parking and make more green space and more play areas. So on the north side of the building, we lifted the building up, we slipped the parking underneath, and the remainder of the parking, as was mentioned earlier, we have 2 full-size basketball hoops that are adjustable, so that can be used after hours and on weekends. So it can be a basketball court. We have a world-class playground. It's natural, it's accessible, and it's inclusive. It will be used from everyone, including those with disabilities. So we're very proud of how that turned out. We also, if you look around, front porches, not only are they visible, but they're very important. This building has a front porch. On the 3rd floor, if you do the tour, outside the 3 major conference rooms, there's a very generous outdoor area that we call our front porch. It allows people to step outside and has wonderful connections to the neighborhood in Newbo. Finally, we even thought about what can we do with some of the vertical surfaces. So when you look, actually, if you're in that hallway on a tour, look back at the gym. It's this wall here. It was very carefully planned. It's all white material, and it will be used as a movie backdrop, so it's a screen. So I look forward to seeing some of you here in the spring when it's a lot warmer on the first ever movie night at the Harris Building. Thank you.
It is now my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker, Cedar Harris, son of Dr. Percy and Lileah Harris. Peter majored in music at the University of Miami, Florida. He toured as a guitarist with such acts as Chuck Mangione and Bruce Hornsby and The Range. Peter works in LA composing music for commercial media. He is producing a big budget feature film and is currently marketing the project in Hollywood. Please welcome Peter Harris.
Just tell a story. So in the 1940s, there's this family in Waterloo, Iowa. Mother's a teacher, father's a doctor, 5 bright kids, 4 girls, 1 boy. The 3rd child, Lileah, is precociously artistic. By her teens, she is playing piano masterworks by Bach, Beethoven, and Chopin. More importantly, she possesses great compassion. She's got the big heart. Her father is too busy. She vows to never marry a doctor. Then there's this kid, Percy, from Durant, Mississippi, gregarious, bright, and confident. Sadly, he experiences great loss while still a child. His father, mother, and sister all pass away. He spends about 2 years in a tuberculosis sanitarium. Ultimately, he goes to live with his aunt. Where? You guessed it, Waterloo, Iowa. The 2 kids meet. Powerful attraction. Teen angst. Beneath it all is a bond that cannot be broken. They mature and marry. Soon, Dad is at Howard Medical School, and Mom works at the Pentagon. So much for Mom's no doctors vow. By 1955, they have 4 kids. It was the 50s, and Mom was a devout Catholic, but it was more than that. Both told me they had always wanted a big family. Money was tight. Mom and Dad said that if not for Mom's family and their Washington friends, they might not have made it. Dad always said, there's nothing wrong with accepting help. Everyone needs help sometimes. Dad graduates and lands an internship at St. Luke's. They move to an old yellow house owned by the hospital. 3 boys sleep in a basement with one of those scary heaters, like the one in Home Alone. Dad's residency goes well. Mom is working very hard at home, but still finds time to enchant her children with her piano playing. I once asked Dad why in that era he believed that he could be a successful doctor in Lynn County. He said, the other doctors believed I could do it. I then asked why they chose Cedar Rapids. He said, Peter, the schools are excellent. So Dad builds his practice, and Mom focuses on the children. They remain close to Mom's mothers, siblings, and their families, the Fergusons and the Nashes. They also make many new friends. Just as a sample, Herb and Joe Weezy of Cook College, Vernon and Phoebe Smith, Dr. Moriestis and his wife, Fred and Ruth Rogers, Dr. Kingsley and Margaret Grant, the McGraths and the Maddens, and the Donnellys. Many others, including superstar Robert Armstrong. The children keep coming. By 1962, there are 7. A future Alliant Energy employee is on the horizon. The yellow house is packed, time for an upgrade. They consider several spots, but Robert Armstrong has an idea. How about one of the many properties he once owned? Now, it seems, and Dad's middle name was Gene, G-E-N-E. It seems we have in our genome a trait that sometimes overwhelms our moral sense and reasoning. It is this: who is one of us and who is not? Well, even back then, Mom and Dad believed that all people of goodwill are one of us. Others disagreed. Luckily, many Cedar Rapidians agreed with Mom and Dad, so they purchased the lot and built our family home. Well, Mom nurtured our lives. She was our moral instructor, stressing empathy and compassion for all. I will never match her, but that's what she did. Through All Saints Church and organizations, she reached out to the less fortunate. She also gave birth to 4 more children. At my age now I go, if you're amazed, I am too. And earned a bachelor's degree in Russian language. She loved Russian culture, so, take that where you want. Anyway, Dad's practice grew. He became medical examiner for Lynn County. He led the local NAACP. He sat on many boards, including the Iowa Board of Regents. He cared for his patients with skill and compassion. He changed lives, and he saved lives. But above all, he loved his family. Dad said that marrying Mom revealed his path. She was his organizing moral principle and inspiration. Like most of us, they had their ups and downs. But Mom was Dad's best friend. I know this because he told me so. Dr. Percy and Lileah Harris Building, Lynn County Public Health and Child and Youth Development Services. Public health and child and youth development, the highest values of their lives, and for that you honor them. And by this dedication, you also honor the many extraordinary Lynn County citizens of their generation whom Mom and Dad loved so dearly. And you commit yourselves to ensuring that Lynn County will continue to be what it has been for our family and many other families, a garden of humanity in which every person is sustained, nurtured, and given opportunities to grow. We Harris children, I'm not reading, Bruce, David, Lileah, Peter, Philip, Paul, Mark, Ann, Sarah, Matthew, Grant, and Rebecca are grateful and proud beyond words. We congratulate you on this magnificent building, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
One more time for Mr. Cedar Rapids. So now to learn a little bit more about what will actually go on in this building, I'd like to introduce to you the Child and Youth Development Services Director, Mrs. Gloria Witzberger.
Thank you for sharing this special day with us. Our mission in Child and Youth Development Services is to advance the dignity and well-being of at-risk and low-income children, youth, and families. Some see mission statements as just words, but when I look around, this is more than words. This building is mission in action. When the children and families see and step inside our state-of-the-art facility built for them, they experience more than words. An entire village of people, the citizens of Lynn County, the Board of Supervisors that represent those citizens, our Community Service Board and advisors, parents, architects, the building trades, our public health partner, and our talented and dedicated staff. This entire village stands behind and lifts up our mission. It takes a village to raise a child. Hillary Clinton's book with that title recognizes our child development program because of her experience when she visited us. She wrote in her book, "Earlier this year I visited the Lynn County Daycare Center in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which, supported by federal, state, and local funds, enrolls nearly 70 children from low-income families. I was impressed by the center's range of activities. In one room, children were gleefully feeding guinea pigs. In another, they were busy making valentines with paper and glue. In every classroom and every activity, I saw reflected the center's emphasis on developing the language and social skills of each child. It was also clear that the center understood that quality child care and strong families go hand in hand. There was not one parent I met who was not either working, actively involved in job training, going to college, or trying to get a high school equivalency diploma. Having access to child care they could trust enabled them to pursue goals that would benefit both their families and society. She saw what we know. Thriving villages spend time, energy, talent, resources on their children. Helping children in their earliest years builds a strong foundation for them and a bright future for our community. Investing in our children is also an investment in our community's social and economic development that reduces remedial programs, reduces justice spending, strengthens parent job stability and wages, and simply helps our children become valued citizens. This Harris building is a new hub for serving Lynn County's children, and we'll serve them with these 5 programs. First, the Lynn County Child Development Center. It provides high-quality, full-day, full-year child development services to families with lower incomes. We have a strong commitment to serving children with identified special needs, and currently enroll 68 children ages 3 to 5 years old. Our children come from diverse backgrounds, with over half speaking English as their second language. In partnership with HACAP Early Head Start, A new additional classroom will allow us for the first time to serve 2-year-old children. Lynn County has lost 41% of child care providers in the last 5 years. And child care waiting lists tell us that the highest need for care is for children from 0 to birth, or 0 to 3. Now we'll be able to provide services and care for those young children. The second program, our peer group program, serves 110 at-risk students weekly from elementary, middle, and high school. We have a 42-year history of supporting and promoting social and emotional learning environments for these children. And this service is unique in Cedar Rapids. Our talented and trained staff are sensitive to the effects that trauma can have in creating harmful and even devastating effects on a child's physical, mental, behavioral, and emotional well-being. And we use trauma-informed care practices when working with our youth. Third is our school-to-home program. This Harris building provides space for a social worker who, in collaboration with the Cedar Rapids Community School District, builds on the school's behavior plan and helps families put effective behavior approaches into use in the home. Fourth, our Reaching Families program. It gets involved early in the lives of at-risk children and provides in-home services for parents of young students with behavioral challenges. Our staff also provides active support and parent education to parents experiencing depression and other mental health challenges, helping to prevent child neglect or abuse. And finally, the fifth program that Harris Building houses is our Children's Mental Health Access Fund. This fund fills gaps when insurance or family income doesn't cover all of families' needs or expenses. This program helps parents of children with mental health challenges keep their children in their home, school, or community. So from the overall perspective, this Harris Building enhances our ability to serve children and youth with increased classroom capacity to serve more children, sensory rooms attached to each classroom that provides a safe space for children challenged with sensory processing issues. They allow children space to find calm and comfort while learning self-regulation strategies. Natural light throughout the classrooms and other spaces. A natural playscape that stimulates imagination and creativity, unique to all of Iowa and beyond. Space for parent education classes. A community kitchen for children and parents where they can take nutrition classes and learn other life skills. Conference rooms for program and community partners. A gym for physical development and cooperative learning opportunities. And convenient parent access to public health services, including WIC. Every flourishing village has respected elders that ensure that future generations have opportunities to grow and thrive. Our village is fortunate to have had among its respected elders Dr. Percy and Lileah Harris. They were the best of us. They demonstrated their respect for the inherent worth and dignity of all people, and our mission is to live and embody that respect every day with every interaction with the children that parents entrust us with. Our village is flourishing by practicing its core values and recognizing our obligation to address the important issues affecting a child's well-being: education, connection, safety, health, family economic security, and equal opportunity. This old African proverb, "It takes a village," is a reminder that children will thrive when their families thrive, and when the whole of society cares enough to provide for them. Our children are fortunate to be part of this Lynn County village, and we are honored to be part of the Harris family legacy. Thank you. Director of Lynn County Public Health.
What a day, what a great day today. And I'm just surprised today to see my 93-year-old professor. She traveled from Iowa City to come and see this event. So, Dr. Eleanor and Steve, we are honored that you came here. Thank you very much. Thank you all very, very much for coming and joining us here today in witnessing a milestone, a moment when a state-of-the-art building is being dedicated to deliver services to public through its two outstanding programs, public health and child and youth development. Folks, this is indeed a big deal. To us, it's really a huge deal. To this community, this is incredibly a huge deal. And this huge deal has been a long time coming, 7 years to be precise. But finally, we can say that a world-class health department and child and youth development center is housed in a world-class building. In these past 7 years, I have many people to thank too and be grateful to. First of all, my deepest thanks go to the former members of the Board of Supervisors, especially Linda Langston, John Harris, Lou Barron, and Jim Hauser. They listened to me untold times and attempted to do their level best to help us get a new building. Supervisor Langston actually traveled to Des Moines to testify with me before Iowa Senate's Ways and Means Committee to secure funding for a new public health building. I'm also grateful to our current Board of Supervisors, Brent Olson, Ben Rogers, and Stacy Walker, for their continued push and support for this project. They took on this massive task on their own shoulders and carried it through. So thank you very much. I remember one time about 3 years ago, sensing my impatience and frustration, Supervisor Rogers said, "Pramod, you will have a beautiful building for public health." Here we are, Supervisor Rogers. Beautiful, very beautiful building. I also wish to thank my board, Lane County Board of Health, both past and present, for their continued support and encouragement. My colleagues at Lane County Public Health deserve a lot of thanks. I mean a lot of thanks for their perseverance, patience, and support over the years. Thank you guys very much. 3 other county colleagues who deserve thanks are Darren Gage, Garth Fagerbaki, and Gary Jarvis. Jarvis is retired now, but these two guys and their team also worked their tail off. In other words, they worked very hard. Thank you all so much. The brain behind this building is, of course, that of OPN, right? Thank you, David Sword, and your incredible team. It's incredibly amazing job that you guys accomplished. Thank you. Last but not least, Bernie Hotchkiss of Render Neck Associates, who has been instrumental in pulling all this massive complex project together. Bernie and his team has been responsible for giving this building this shape, beautiful shape. Bernie, my man, thank you for all your hard work, patience, and knowledge. Hard work, patience, knowledge. But most importantly, thank you for tolerating me during all my 16 trips to this construction site. And we still have to go out for lunch. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and an opportunity to create a healthier Linn County. Creating a healthier Linn County is our mission, and that's our vision. And here at Linn County Public Health, we advance that mission, that vision every single day. The food that you eat, the air that you breathe, and well water that you drink are safe because of work of this department. We are here at your service 24/7. Each year, our clinic sees thousands of clients, delivers thousands of immunizations, tests and treats hundreds of sexually transmitted infections, tuberculosis, HIV, and hepatitis. Each year, my colleagues inspect over 1,000 restaurants and grocery stores, and nearly 2,400 air quality permits are issued for industrial and commercial emission points, and thousands of water samples are tested for nitrate, coliform, and more recently, arsenic. The strength of our communities across Linn County and ingenuity of this health department has driven our success. For example, our projects such as My Care Community, Health Improvement Plan, Opioid Use Disorder, Solarize Linn County, and Air Quality Change Out programs would have not been possible without community collaboration and innovative thinking of this department, which is always based on science and evidence. This state-of-the-art building now not only allows us to continue to do all this work, but also allows us to expand and integrate our services. For example, Women, Infants and Children, WIC, is joining hands together. The physical location of this building also makes it possible for many of our vulnerable clients to get direct access to our clinical services. And this building inspires our staff and promotes efficiency. How can you not be productive in this building, in this great building? Your health department has shifted the paradigm. We are known nationally for our innovative work. We have challenged ourselves. We have challenged ourselves to tackle critical, widespread health barriers such as racism, lack of access to safe neighborhoods, affordable education, housing, nutritious food, and healthcare. Our community's three priorities are mental health, obesity, and safety, and they speak forcefully about all these issues. I can stand here in this beautiful new building with confidence and say that Linn County's health remains in good hands, actually in great hands. Folks, the field of public health is as wide as world. That's why public health matters. That's why working together matters. And that's why this building matters. Thank you very much. And now it's my genuine honor to introduce Supervisor Ben Rogers.
Well, we're at the halfway point. I was clean shaven when this started, so. It is an absolute thrill and an honor to see a packed gym at the Dr. Percy and Lileah Harris building. And welcome to all of you to this wonderful new community building. To borrow a phrase from my colleague, Supervisor Stacy Walker, every now and then, the universe bestows upon humanity one of those ethereal and affable personalities that end up changing the world forever. Fate and opportunity bestowed upon me and my family the honor of knowing Percy and Lileah Harris. The story of the Rogers family is incomplete without a few chapters devoted to the Harrises. and I wish to take this moment of personal privilege to share with you why Percy and Lileah mean so much to me, my family, and this community. The story really begins in the early 1960s when my father and his family moved from Chicago to Cedar Rapids. My grandparents were both German-Jewish refugees who had escaped Nazi Germany in both the late 1930s and early 40s, respectively. My grandmother Ruth was smuggled out of her hometown of Village through the Kinder transport with her brother, never to see her parents again. My great-grandparents were arrested, deported, and executed in a concentration camp in what is now modern-day Latvia. My grandfather left under different circumstances, but still traumatic. Years later, my grandparents and the Harrises were part of a book club, where over the years they talked about a variety of social, economic, and historical issues. My grandfather Fred used to tell me that both the Rogers and the Harrises shared stories of their own personal experiences, their own upbringing, of the systemic and institutional barriers, of social injustices that were specifically engineered to marginalize, denigrate, and humiliate them. I believe they found in each other kindred spirits and witnesses to humanity's failings. When my father moved to Cedar Rapids, Percy became their family doctor. Later, he was a doctor to my mother, and inevitably delivered my brother and I. And like so many other thousands of children in this community, our very first experience of being alive was in Percy's hands. When my grandmother Ruth was having some stomach pain, she sought out Percy for a diagnosis. He knew right away when he palpated her liver, which was hard as a rock, that she needed to go and get testing immediately. As my grandmother lay dying of liver cancer at home, in the dining room, in a hospice bed, it was Percy's hands who were holding hers as she passed away on Passover, April 26, 1986, with my father, my aunt and uncle, and my grandfather surrounding them. When my mother ran for State House in 1999 during a hotly contested and highly competitive special election to replace the seat that Ron Corbett had just recently resigned to come back to Cedar Rapids, that election night did not go our way, but my mother showed tremendous strength in class in both thanking her opponent and her supporters. And I remember clear as day, we're walking out of Co. It's nighttime, it's dark. It's my mom, my dad, my brother, and I, and we're walking down the sidewalk, and the person coming towards us alone is Percy. Now, without saying anything, without having to say anything, my mother collapsed in tears into his arms, and he just held her, because Percy was family to us. In 2012, I had the honor of meeting President Obama along with other elected officials and community leaders after his remarks at Kirkwood, and I was absolutely delighted to see Percy in line. And we spent the afternoon together at the event and waiting together to meet President Obama for a photo opportunity. When it was Percy's time to meet the president, President Obama walked right up to him without any notes, without any prompting, and said, "How are you?" and Lileah. Now at this time, Lileah was not well and was unable to attend, but had she been, she would have been there. What a moment. What a moment to watch a civil rights icon and a friend shaking the hands of the first African-American president of the United States. When it was my turn, I motioned Percy to come back over. I turned to the president, I said, "He was the doctor that delivered me. I'd like him to be in the photo with us." When Percy passed away, my father was speaking with one of the Harris children. And I think at the funeral home there was the Obama photo. Whichever child he was speaking to leaned into my dad and said, "Damn, we didn't have any photos of white people in our house growing up. But there's 2 pictures of your son Ben in our house right now." I've spoken a lot about Percy, and Percy is a remarkable man, but he was married to a remarkable woman. Lileah was one of the best parts about Percy. And while I am thrilled that this building bears both of their names, what excites me beyond anything else is the fact that a school is named after Lileah. She was devoted to education, as you heard, both of her children, for our community, and her own. She was an accomplished pianist, and as you heard, earned a degree later in life in Russian. I remember when Stacy and I were meeting with the family to ask their blessing to bestow this honor to Percy and Lileah. I remember Sarah saying it was always a dream of hers that a school would be named after her mother. And this is one of the most important schools in our community. It serves children who struggle to be successful in traditional classroom settings and sets them on a path towards success at the most critical moment of their development before the age of 5. And if you were to walk into those classrooms right now, you would hear English, Spanish, Swahili, other tribal dialects. You would see a melting pot of people who have come to this community to make Cedar Rapids their home and to create a better place for their children. The Child and Youth Development Center is the only center of its kind in Iowa and one of the few in the Midwest. And as you heard, it was featured in Hillary Clinton's book, It Takes a Village, and it is a model in which other child and youth development centers are developed. I am also thrilled, and this is just totally a fluke, that in the design of this building there are 12 conference rooms and meeting spaces. Each one will be dedicated to one of the Harris children. And so, to the children, I'm going to do this. Bruce, David, Malia, Peter, Philip, Paul, Mark, Ann, Sarah, Matthew, Grant, and Rebecca. I've been practicing for like 2 years. I want to personally thank the family for allowing us to honor your parents' lifetime devotion to health and education with this world-class building. But I also want to thank you for sharing your parents with our community. I'd like to leave you with a quote that I heard at the funeral, and I believe, Peter, you may have mentioned, well, I hope, I'm going to go with this, that this was something in your father's office. I don't know who or what put the question. I don't know when it was put. I do not even remember answering. But at some moment I did answer yes to someone or something. And from that hour I was certain that existence is meaningful and that therefore my life and self-surrender had a goal. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Following this ceremony, there will be opportunities for guided tours. I believe we have tour guides to my left if they could raise their hand. Those gentlemen that you see with their hand raised can really speak to the nuance of this building, how it was designed, the materials used, any questions that you might have. We also have maps of the building for self-guided tours, and we have staff eagerly waiting at those locations identified on the map to tell you about the work that they do and how that part of the building will be used to carry out their mission. We hope you take some time for the tour and learn even more about the important work of county government. And now we're going to cut the ribbon for this incredible building. Thank you.
It is pretty warm in here, a lot of body heat going down. Yeah, I thought when they opened that door,